How to have a long lifespan, health span, and wealth span with 3.0 level thinking. So have you ever wondered how long should you expect to be retired? Like, you want your money to last for the rest of your life, but how long will you live? What quality of life will you have? What will your lifestyle cost you when you're older? So now what if you could have all three? So live longer, have a long lifespan, be healthy longer, have a long health span, and have financial freedom longer, have a long wealth span. What if you could do all three? I'm going to show you today how you can do that and how you can plan for it. So my talk today is about why it's smart to plan for a longer life, new thinking in medicine to help you live long and be healthy, new thinking in personal finance that parallels it to keep you financially free for life, what is wrong with mainstream medicine and personal finance. You can talk about how to create your own Centenarian Decathlon and what that is, why the first do no harm is wrong for doctors. So what did Hippocrates actually say? And how to create plans for a long lifespan, health span, and wealth span. Now, I recently read a great book. Here it is. It's called Outlive by Dr. Peter Attia. I highly recommend this book. It was recommended to me by both my doctor and my personal trainer. It's just like, it's kind of taking the world by storm. It's a new way of thinking. So now in this book, he talks about medicine level 1, 2, and 3 thinking. So medicine level 1.0 was, started 2,000 years ago. It was basically physical observations that doctors had, and that was best that they knew at the time. Then we started medicine 2.0, started around 1850, like mid-1800s, and it was using the scientific method. So they're focusing on curing diseases and preventing death. So, and basically in that time, life expectancy doubled in the last century from doing this. So, but what does medicine 2.0 do for you personally? That's probably only a slight increase in how long you're going to live, if you do it versus not. And it tends to prolong your life when you're close to death. Like they get in when you're sick, then they can make you live a little bit longer, but not much preventative. So now medicine 3.0 is what he's talking about. It's very recent, but it's not mainstream. But it's a focus on prevention. So thinking longer term about maintaining health span and lifespan, 30 plus years into the future. So now there's some key concept in this book. Now, I'm not going to do justice to this book at all. I'm just going to raise a few key things that jumped out at me. So one thing is you should planning when you're much younger, to be healthy when you're older. So, it's taking preventative medications much earlier than doctors would normally recommend, doing tests earlier, and other actions like long before you have any significant health problem. Like, don't wait until you're sick, do these preventative long time earlier. For example, I've been with a longevity doctor for many years who focuses on that. And basically back in my 40s or early 50s, he was telling me to take, lower blood pressure pills and cholesterol pills. Like, you want it lower than conventional wisdom will tell you, because that helps you live longer. So, and it's worthwhile. If you can do it healthy, that's good. But even if you do it with medications, it still has the same lifestyle benefit or life benefit. So also, it's tests for cancer. There's some basic tests to see if you have it. It's worth testing earlier because, even if you're unlikely to have it, finding out early is really a critical thing. So, and there's a new concept that it might be the first one that Dr. Attia might be the first one to have used it. It's called Healthspan. So how long do you expect to be healthy, to live your desired life? And that's basically the definition. How long do you expect to be healthy enough to live your desired life? So it's not just how long are you going to be alive. I don't want to be old. And like, I've had people say, I don't want to be old because then but they're thinking of old people that are really feeble and dementia and all that. But what if you still, have quality of life? So that's what health span is. So now don't wait until you're sick to act. Don't wait until you're old and weak to act. Plan way early. So how can we have the best chance of being healthy? I guess there's no guarantee about this, but doing all these things improves your odds significantly. First, so start preventative medicine or tests earlier to detect problems earlier. So, target lower blood pressure, take tests for diseases much earlier than medicine 2.0 would tell you. And then building up the physical strength, some interesting things there. So strength declines as you age. So your muscle mass, typically you lose 40% between age 80 and age 25. Muscle strength is, tends to decline about 2 to 3 times faster than muscle mass. And power, strength and speed together, 2 to 3 times faster than muscle strength. So all these things you lose as you get older. So you lose speed and you lose endurance and strength as you get older. So you want to build them up. So you're declining from a higher level, and you're declining more slowly. So the book is also about nutritional biochemistry. So it's not diets, it's looking at the nutritional biochemistry. So part of it is just eat less. I know my doctor, every time when I leave from seeing him, his parting thing is not goodbye. He always says, stay slim. So, and that's, important correlation with life expectancy. So he says, just generally eat less. So also, a really surprising thing in the book that you don't hear too much else, although both my doctor and personal trainer mentioned it, is most people get far too little protein. So you cannot build or maintain muscle mass without enough protein. So, most of us need 2 to 3 times as much protein as we're getting. So the book also talks about the importance of sleep and emotional health. So these are all pieces of being, being overall healthy. So who follows Medicine 3.0? So obviously Dr. Attia does, and he mentions a bunch of other doctors in the book. And basically it's private doctors. So you want doctors with an MD, real doctors, not just people with opinions or something. But in the US, because it's private healthcare, there may be a lot more of them, but it's generally not covered by the insurance in the US. In Canada, preventative medicine is not covered by Medicare. So you basically can't, your own doctors generally aren't doing this kind of thing. So our doctors, including family doctors, you may not know this about your family doctor, but they're all self-employed on piecework. Remember, factory, piecework, you get paid for each piece. That's how doctors are. They have a code for each thing that they do. And there's no code for preventative measures or, counseling advice on how to stay healthy. There's no code for that. So, you notice that doctors usually try to get you in and out in 5 or 10 minutes. And that's why they get a code and then they do their thing and that's it. So I go to a private doctor. This guy's kind of expensive, but when you go to a private, they can actually focus on prevention and early detection. And, and then if they find anything, then they refer you to the regular system. But, you probably need a private doctor or, to be able to focus on this prevention. So now there's parallels to all this in personal finance. So what I call finance 1.0, that's, basically what was happening until, about 1960 or so. Back then, basically investing, people would just put money into interest-bearing or guaranteed returns like bonds, and whole life insurance policies were some of the main ways people used to save way back then. So, and they worked because the life expectancy was so short, so they kind of worked back then. So then we started, finance 2.0. It started in around 1960, and it's been increasingly, advanced quite a bit starting in the 1990s and since then. So, and basically before that, there was, no financial plans. At this point, finance 2.0, there's kind of minimal financial plan, whatever you had to do. But, the plans usually assume that you're going to spend less when you get old. And, they generally have, balanced mutual funds or ETFs and, some active managing or index, but with a focus on short-term risk tolerance, 3 years or less. This is kind of thing that is part of finance 2.0. So it's minimal planning and, conservative, or moderate kind of investing. So the average portfolios are generally much larger than they were 100 years ago, even once you account for inflation. So generally 2.0 has been better than 1.0, just like medicine 2.0 is better than medicine 1.0. So, but what does finance 2.0 do for you? Like if you follow this versus, not like, most people today still save far too little. So there's, they don't get proper financial planning. So they don't really know how much they have to put away. And most are investing way too conservatively. So they really don't have any chance to have the future that they want anyway. So it helps somewhat, but it still doesn't give most people what they really want, a comfortable retirement for as long as they live. So, and you can see this if you look at, retired people, how many of them stop traveling when they're in their 70s and 80s and are home all the time. You can see they didn't save enough, So, or they're not healthy, but most quite likely didn't save enough. Now, finance 3.0, just like medicine 3.0, it's pretty recent, but it's not mainstream. So it's, again, it's thinking long-term and it's focused on financial freedom and providing for a 30+ year long retirement. So similar to medicine 3.0. So the key concept here is, first of all, you need a good financial plan. It's the GPS for your life. It's the only way that you're going to know that you have enough for the future that you want. And then it's about investing for growth, because you probably need to have a long, comfortable retirement. You probably need a bigger portfolio than you think, So it's long-term risk tolerance. It's investing for growth. So now long-term risk tolerance shows stocks actually are the low-risk investment after inflation. So, and essentially nobody, I've had a bunch of talks about this, essentially nobody can retire comfortably with a 5% or so return that you get from a balanced portfolio. So long-term thinking must be after inflation. So if you're thinking long-term, so inflation keeps increasing your cost of living. So if you have to think after inflation here too. So now, for example, if inflation's 5% like it is today, and you're getting a 5% return on your investment, you're not growing your wealth, you're just getting zero. And then financial freedom is the big thing here, but finance 3.0. So financial plan gives you confidence that you can live your desired life no matter how long you live. So it's this wealth span. Now, who follows finance 3.0? It's basically fee-for-service financial planners. There are some podcasters and bloggers that follow it. They may not know it by that term, but they kind of follow this kind of thinking. So now it's difficult for the investment industry to follow it. They have a lot of sales pressure, so they have to, constantly make sales. So generally, they don't seem to have time to do a proper financial plan. Proper financial plan takes many, 10, 20 hours. It takes a long time to do it, to do the full interview and all the calculations and write it up and make a plan. So they just don't have time to do that with the sales pressure. And they also have very, tight compliance rules and compliance people. And so it's difficult for them to invest for growth or do growth strategies. So again, mainstream doctors aren't paid for medicine 3.0, the prevention. And mainstream financial industry investment industry is just not set up for financial plans and growth investing. So it's basically fee-for-service financial planners that are doing this. Just like you probably have to pay a private doctor, you probably have to pay a private fee-for-service financial planner. So why should you plan to, outlive with lifespan, healthspan, and financial freedom? Why do all this? So we save for a comfortable retirement, but how do we know we will live that long and be healthy? So I get asked that people a lot. I'd save much money, but what if I'm just going to be decrepit when I'm old anyway? But the thing is, you don't have to be, and you quite likely won't be. So especially if you plan for it. So now the key to a great retirement is money and health. If you have both of those, retirement can be great. So many people think they will travel less after age 80, but our retired clients over 80 tend to have money, and if they're healthy, they travel as much as they when they're over 80 as they did when they were younger. In fact, it's often more luxury travel and less, active travel. So, and in general, we are living longer. So the average life expectancy has doubled in the last 100 years from, a life expectancy in the 40s, and now it's in the 80s. So the average life expectancy today is 83, but that's from birth. So it's averaged down by young people. You should expect a retirement of 30+ years, because that's actually what most people get today. So now for people that make it to age 65, 50% of men today live to 89, 50% of women live to 91, and 50% of couples, the one that lives the longest lives to 94, from 65 to 94, 29 years. So that's, and so planning for a 30-year retirement means there's a 50% chance that you will run out of money, and at least one of you or your spouse, is still alive. So you should plan for this. It's, if you can be in the top, above average, then you can have more than 30 years. So now I've personally been on a search to live longer for about 15 years. That's when I saw my first longevity doctor, and now I got the private doctor, and, and the personal trainer. So, my grandmother lived to age 109, and she was fully healthy until age 101. Her mind was always with it mentally, and she was just like so inspirational. So I've been on this plan ever since then. And, I can tell you that having a private doctor works, and having a personal trainer, it works. I used to do my own, typical guy exercises, work on arms and chest and stuff, but none of it ever actually worked. With a personal trainer, I'm finding things actually work. you know? So it's getting a professional involved. So let's talk about 3.0 level thinking. What are the steps? So the first thing is you actually plan your life. So you can plan to live longer, be healthier, and financial free until age 100 or longer. You can plan for it. So how do you plan to live after you retire or when you're healthier? Now, in this book, really cool concept, Dr. Attia talks about the Centenarian Decathlon. So when you are 100 years old, what are the 10 activities that you want to be able to do? So what's most important to you to be able to do at that age? So you're planning for your future lifestyle. So he gave an example. So here's just an example. But if you think of yourself, like what are the kind of the basic things that you want to do? If you want to say that I'm healthy enough to live the life I want, what do you basically want to do? So his example, Centenarian Decathlon. So number one, hike with a backpack. So still be able to hike. Number two, just get up off from the floor. Number three, lift a child. If you have grandkids over, you want to be able to lift a child. Number four, carry 2 grocery bags so you can still shop. 5, lift a suitcase into an overhead compartment on a plane. Access so you could travel. Balance on one leg so you're not falling down. Have sex. That'd be a great thing. Be able to climb stairs. It's still important. Open a jar and swim. So that's an example. So if you're 100, you can do those 10 things, then you're actually not a bad life overall. So the idea is to think of your 10. So now your ability to do all of these is going to decline over time unless you focus on maintaining them. So, and unless you plan ahead to be able to do more than each of these when you're younger. So if you want to be able to, put a suitcase into an overhead bin, well, now you have to be able to lift something heavier up over, up now, because, if you'd be weaker, when you're 100 than you are today. So if you can barely do it today, you're not going to be able to do it later on. So you got to build these things up, so it's like you're investing, building up your strength early. And then also by, you can maintain it so it declines more slowly. So you invest in your health when you are younger. So here's an example. So here's 4 things that are all correlated to life expectancy. So they can help you live longer. First one is aerobic stamina. So it's just endurance, like be able to run or walk fast for 20 to 60 minutes. So just stamina, just being able to go for a while. Number 2 is maximum aerobic output. So it's, maximum speed for short bursts. So I learned about 15 years ago about interval training, and I still do a lot of that in exercise. Instead of, there's 2 ways that you can run, for example, on the treadmill. One is you can just pick a speed and run for 20 or 30 minutes at one speed, or you can do short bursts, which is what I do. So I run for like a minute, minute and a half at the fastest I can run. And then I slow down, I'll walk fast and recover, and then run fast for a short break. So it's like a minute at high speed, and that's been shown to be better for mental, both for your heart and for your brain to be able to do that. So maximum aerobic output is number 2. Number 3 is just general grip strength, your hand grip. So it's a proxy for overall strength. Plus it's also ability to protect yourself in a fall or an accident. So you start falling, you can grab something. If your hand is really weak, you can't, protect yourself. And the 4th one is just balance stability. And a way to test this is ability to sit on the floor and stand up using only one hand or without hands. So falls at an older age can lead to a rapid decline. Remember the old "I've fallen and I can't get up" ads? So, and this is actually, one way that they test for how feeble you are, how close you are to death is, can you still get up off the floor? So, or even can you get up off the chair without using your hands? So those are kind of 4 things that, you can invest in when you're young. They're all correlated to living longer. Now, you lose these steadily as you age. So it's important to build them up when you're younger. Similar to a retirement portfolio, you build it up when you're younger. Now, personal finance, again, you plan for the future lifestyle that you want, and it's worth thinking about it. So what do you want to do? What travel do you want to do? What entertainment do you want to do? Where do you want to live? Like different places, different times. What cars do you want to drive? Do you want to be able to help family? Do you want to donate to charities and make a difference in the world? So think about the lifestyle. If you're living the lifestyle that you want, what is that lifestyle? Think about it and try to put numbers on it. That's all part of the financial plan. So then you create a financial plan to include your desired lifestyle and enough money to be confident that you can live this lifestyle as long as you live. And when you do that, you're probably going to find that, to live the way you want, you probably need a larger portfolio than you may think. So now having a financial plan is the only way to be confident that you're going to have the life that you want. So you can create your plan to outlive. So that's lifespan and health span, and a plan for your financial freedom for life. So the wealth span, you can plan for those. So level 3 thinking is, think long-term about risk and growth. That's a really big thing. So both in medicine and finance, you're thinking long-term. So you're thinking about your health when you're younger, not just when you're sick, but much younger. And same with financially, you're thinking younger, you're thinking about investing longer. So now a really interesting thing here is this is, a lot of people say that doctors, typical doctor advice, first do no harm. So, but you know what? That's wrong. It's wrong. And it's actually not what doctors do. And it's attributed to Hippocrates, but he actually never said that. It's not in his writings anyway. He never said that. What he actually said was, here's his quote, practice 2 things in your dealings with disease, either help or do no harm the patient. So now notice the first thing is help the patient is the first thing. And this is really critical because when you think about what doctors do, if doctors actually did the lowest risk thing, they would very often do nothing. So surgery always has risks. You're cutting into a person, which is certainly, doing harm. So, but, most people that get surgery are far better off after the surgery. So, and, all medications, you ever looked at any medicine and have a list of all the possible side effects on there? So, like a lot of this is, a risk of doing harm. But, so the important thing is not do no harm, it's help the patient. And that's what doctors actually do. So you have to think that way. And it's the same thing in finances. We're trying to help. We're not trying to be the lowest. We're not thinking of the lowest risk thing to do. We're trying to live the life that you want. So medicine 3.0 is think long-term about creating the life that you want. So it's not minimizing risk or harm. So similarly, finance 3.0, think long-term about your financial freedom and plan for a 30+ year retirement and invest for growth to achieve it. So in finance, risk is the risk of not having the 30-year retirement that you want. It's not a temporary investment decline. So the investment always talks about, risk is, your investments went down. But you know what? If your investments fall 30 or 40% and come back up, that's not risk because it's all fine. But the real risk is, you're going to be retired for 30 years or more. The real risk is you'll run out of money. You don't have enough money. So that means if you invest too conservatively, you've got no chance to have that. So that's actually, like bonds and cash are probably the most risky thing because, like zero chance of having the future that you want. So that's the way, that's the long-term thinking that's part of Finance 3.0. So the investment industry is focused on, risk tolerance, but investing too conservatively probably means you're not going to have the future you want. So now I've done thousands of financial plans between myself and my team. And I can tell you almost nobody can retire with a return of about 5% per year that a balanced or a 60-40 portfolio should give you long-term. So I've got, lots of examples of it in prior talks of, just showing you what the numbers look like. And yet these are the standard portfolio of the industry. Financial advisors are strongly encouraged not to invest too risky by the regulators and the compliance department. They tend to have balanced portfolios and are not focused on growth. So they would have to spend extra time to, allow you to invest for more growth and, to make sure that they are protected if they do that. So effective investing should give you the highest chance to give you the future life that you want, which requires a high equity allocation for most people. So now equities, I call it equities, it's stock market investments. They are the highest return asset class. So most people are probably going to need 2 to 3 million portfolio or more to retire with the lifestyle you want. And you need strong long-term growth to get there. So, think, 4% rule. I'll give you an example. $1 million today may sound like a lot of money, but that gives you about $40,000 a year, which is not a lot, especially for a couple. So, and if you're, cost of living doubles every 25 years or so. So if you're investing, if you have $2 million 25 years from now, again, that gives you about 40,000 today. It's not a lot. It's not a really comfortable retirement. So, I find I've done lots of financial plans and most people need 2 to 3 or often 4 or 5 million And, some people, of course, want way more, but you need that kind of a portfolio to live comfortably the way you want to live. And to do that, you need some growth in your investments. So now equities are also the most reliable long-term. So the 20-year risk, so risk is, defined by standard deviation after, but it's standard deviation after inflation for 20 years. So the investment industry focuses on 3 years, but just think long-term, 20-year, 30-year, the 20-year risk of after inflation of equities is actually lower than bonds or cash. And, so on the charts, so over 25 years, so every year basically has had strong gains. So the worst 25-year calendar return in the modern stock market, so this is the S&P 500, the US, like since 1930, the modern stock market, the worst 25-year calendar return is 8% a year. So that's the worst one. So it's not, it's actually quite reliable this way. Now, so this relatively new concept, Wealthspan. How long do you expect to be confident you will have financial freedom to live your desired life? So that's what Wealthspan is. So now it's new thinking in medicine is similar to new thinking investing. Think and plan long term and take the necessary action to live long, healthy, and financially free. So in summary, so mainstream medicine and personal finance are kind of stuck at the level 2.0 thinking, but you can find the level 3. So both medicine and personal finance, level 3.0 thinking is based on planning for the life you want and thinking long-term about risk and growth. And you can find it. So 3.0 level thinking is available, but you have to find it and learn about it. So it's mostly private doctors and it's mostly fee-for-service financial planners, but where you can get this kind of advice. So 3.0 involves effort and sacrifice. So, preventative medicine and exercise involve effort to find what you need and to do it, and some pain. Exercise is pain, but they say no pain, no gain. You can learn to love the feeling of vitality from being fit. So also effective long-term personal finance involves, effort to create your financial plan and follow it. And some pain because there's discipline involved for saving and investing. And, there's the experience of investments, ups and downs. So, but again, no pain, no gain. And you can learn to love the confidence from having a large and growing portfolio and being confident in your financial freedom. Live the life you want with health and financial freedom so you can plan for the lifespan, health span, and wealth span you want. So thanks for listening today. My name is Ed Rempel. My blog is Unconventional Wisdom. It's the #1 blog in Canada for a financial planner. It's www.edrempel.com or unconventionalwisdom.ca Canada. If you're interested in potentially talking to us, you can get a free 30-minute consultation. And it's just do edrempel.com/talk. If you subscribe to my blog, podcast, or YouTube, all that means is you get my weekly blogs or videos whenever I put them out. We don't market any other way, but you just get to see them when they come out. You can watch the ones that you want. So to find my podcast, it's edrempel.com/listen. And my YouTube is edrempel.com/watch. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next week.